Now, I know because you listen to this show, you love Chicago. In fact, you probably know your community very well. Maybe you're involved in a block club or some other neighborhood organization because you're passionate about the place you live. Well, you might be able to turn that passion into a profession, helping others find neighborhoods that they love with a career in real estate. When you earn your license with Realtors Real Estate School, you'll have access to a community of real estate professionals who can offer guidance and mentorship. Learn how you can get started this summer. Visit realtorsrealestateschool.com/begin. Today on CityCast Chicago, the Democratic National Convention is August 19th through the 22nd at the United Center in McCormick Place. And after almost a year of anticipation, I just want it to be over. And I know some of you might hear those dates and think, Kobe, well, how can I just avoid that mess? Hey, if you're trying to get away, now's the time to book your trip. Executive producer Simone Alicea talked with the food and travel writer about some quick getaways, spots to eat, and great road trip tips. It's Wednesday, August 7th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about.
Amy Kavanaugh is co-founder and editor of American Weekender, aka the travel newsletter for food people. She's also the dining editor at Chicago Magazine. Amy, welcome to CityCast Chicago.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
So besides the fact that we have this massive news-making, traffic snarling event coming to Chicago later this month, would you say now is a good time to plan a road trip?
I think so, for sure. I love a good summer vacation and a good summer trip. And I think the Midwest is at its best in the summer. And so I think that there's a lot of places you can go for getting out of town for the weekend that the weather's going to be great.
So for folks who maybe want to get away from the chaos, get away from the city, but maybe don't want to get too far, what's your recommendation for, a short trip that you can take that still feels like you're out of town?
I think Milwaukee really fits the bill there. It's 90 minutes from Chicago. You can drive or you can take the Amtrak up, which I've done before. Really quick trip. And I think that Milwaukee just has so much going for it right now. And it feels like a really exciting place to visit. If you're into food, you probably watched this season of Top Chef, which showcased Milwaukee. And so you could dine at Dan Dan, which is a modern Chinese restaurant. One of the chef owners there, Dan Jacobs, was the runner-up on Top Chef this season. So that's a really great spot to go. I'm a big fan of the restaurant Birch, which is from Chef Kyle Null, and it's seasonal American food. He works with a lot of local farms, and so it really feels like it reflects the Wisconsin growing season. For brunch, Milwaukee is a really huge brunch city, and my favorite place there is Uncle Wolfie's, which really does inventive brunch dishes. My favorite one is an omelet made with Spam that is really fantastic.
It's funny that you mentioned Milwaukee as your pick. Ironically, of course, the location of the Republican National Convention earlier this summer, but that has cleared out, obviously. And I remember seeing a lot of Chicago journalists who were there for that event talking about the food scene and just being totally kind of blown away.
Mm-hmm.
I was there last summer. I just happened to spend a night there on my way back on a longer road trip. And I was really impressed by just the vibrancy of downtown, but also like if I had stayed longer, I probably would have tried to get out on the river or do some other activities as well.
I am a really huge fan of the Milwaukee Art Museum, which is, I feel like from the outside, one of the most striking museums I've ever seen. They just have this absolutely incredible sculpture with wings that move. So that is worth a visit, and that's right on the lake. And then a Brewers game. The Brewers, of course, have the famed sausage race there. Super fun. It's always fun to, go see another baseball park. So that's a good way to spend a summer day in Milwaukee.
And teams at least doing better than both of Chicago's teams right now as we speak. So that is short, as you said, about 90 minutes, depending on where you are in the city and what time you're leaving. But what about the opposite? What would be your favorite, either a multi-stop trip or a long haul trip for the folks who are, really trying to drag this out and make a week of it?
Yeah, I think one great option, which I actually did a few months ago, is driving to Nashville. Nashville's 7 hours from Chicago. So you could do it in a day, but it's a very long day. So I would recommend stopping in Louisville. Louisville is about 4.5 hours from Chicago. And so, you could drive down, make a weekend in Louisville. Obviously, there are a lot of distilleries to go to. I've had really great tours at Heaven Hill and Willet, so that's something fun. There's some good spots to eat. North of Bourbon is a really great spot for Southern food. The chef there was inspired by his own Southern travels and has put together a really fantastic menu there. And I'm a big fan of the Bar Expo, which is a cocktail bar kind of in the rush of all the, downtown kind of touristy spots. It's behind an unmarked door and really affordable, really great cocktails. And so Louisville has become a really good stopping point for me when we go on Southern road trips. It's easy, we can get there by lunchtime, spend some time, spend a weekend, and then you can hit the road again too, and you've broken up your trip.
I did not realize Louisville was that close to Chicago, to be honest, 4 hours. You mentioned some spots to check out in Louisville. Did we get a chance to touch on spots folks should check out in Nashville as well as they make that longer trip?
Yeah, there are so many great places in Nashville. Obviously, Nashville is known for its music scene. I highly recommend two museums. The Country Music Hall of Fame is incredible, absolutely worth, you could spend a whole morning there. And then on the newer side, the National Museum of African American Music is phenomenal. It opened fairly recently, I believe, and just the exhibits, you can kind of just walk through the history, in this room and listen to, all of this music on headphones. And it was just really an incredible experience. I would recommend doing both if you have time. Absolutely worth your visit. And then there's obviously really, really great food there too. I'm a big fan of Eastside Banh Mi, which is a banh mi shop that my order there pulls in, Southern influences. So it's like they have bologna on their banh mi. I'm a huge fan of this taco truck called Maíz de la Vida. It's parked outside Chopper, which is a tropical bar. And so you just, you go outside, you get your burrito, and you can bring it inside and have tropical drinks. I feel like there's, a lot of really exciting stuff happening in Nashville. Obviously there's wonderful Southern food and everyone knows hot chicken, but I think there's a lot of gems really hiding underneath the surface there.
Yeah, Nashville, one of our newest CityCast cities as well. So you can find a CityCast Nashville and hear some other recs from locals.
Oh, cool.
What's up, y'all? I'm back with another Ravinia Roundup. Yes, another one, and I got more shows. All summer long, North America's longest running outdoor music festival is putting on some of the most enjoyable concerts in the Chicago area, point blank period, and trust me, there is something for everybody. August probably has my favorite run of shows of this entire summer. They got Grammy winners all month long, y'all, with Robert Glasper and Chicago's own Jay Ivey on August 14th, The Roots with Diggable Planets and Arrested Development on August 24th, and they've got some excited Ravinia debuts with Gaelic Storm and the High Kings on August 22nd. I know, that's a lot of names, a lot of dates. Go to the link in our show notes for the full schedule. Remember, you can grab a pavilion seat or pack a lunch for the lawn. Either way, your ride on the Metro is free with your ticket. So pick your concert, buy tickets at ravinia.org, and treat yourself. Grab yourself some wine. Do it big when you go out there. Once again, that's ravinia.org.
Do you have car snacks or car meals that you always like or that you think maybe are underrated that you want to put people on?
We start every road trip with breakfast sandwiches from McDonald's. That is our go-to. I love a sausage McMuffin. It's the only time I eat it, so it's also, feels a little bit special.
It feels like a special thing. Yeah, like
yes,
it's
yes.
we're on vacation. We're doing something else.
Exactly. It feels, it's a fun start to the trip. And then in terms of road snacks, we are always looking for great places to stop along the way. Anytime I hear about a cool spot anywhere, I put it on my Google map, and then, sometimes we'll be driving somewhere and we're like, oh, we don't know anything around. You open up the Google map and you might find something. One example is we were driving around Champaign, Illinois, and found marked down on my map was Jarlene's Custard Cup. And I was like, well, we have to go. And it was incredible. And we've been back since. And so that is one bit of advice I have is, anytime you hear about a cool restaurant or just anywhere you want to stop, put it on your map, keep an eye on your map as you're driving. You never know what you'll stumble across.
Any other prep that goes into the trip? Like, how do you plan your route or kind of find the spots that you want to try? And how do you determine when something's going to be too far out of the way? It's not going to be worth it.
We often will opt for a little bit of a longer drive. Like we'll take the back roads if it's a difference of an hour or something. It's like you get a chance to kind of see what some places are like as opposed to, just being on the highway the entire time. So we really try and, make the drive itself something special. It's not merely getting to your destination. It's, what can you do along the way? We have absolutely planned some trips around where to eat. We were driving down to Oxford, Mississippi recently, and we had heard about this incredible barbecue place, Helen's Barbecue in Brownsville, Tennessee. And so we were like, well, we have to go. This looks incredible. She is a very, very long time pitmaster. She's, in her 80s. She's really incredible. And so we're like, we must make this happen. And so that kind of went into, planning our route down there. And so I don't think there's any destination that is too far that I wouldn't go to for something great to eat.
Obviously you are focused on food when it comes to the road trips and finding some of the best bites. It's a big part of what American Weekender is. So I am curious, what's the spot with the trip you take that has your very favorite bite to eat?
I'm going to Cleveland.
That was a dark horse. I did not expect that one.
I have found myself in Cleveland 4 or 5 times in the past 2 years. And my favorite restaurant is called Cordelia. The chef there, Vinny Cimino, was nominated for a Beard Award for Best Chef Great Lakes this year. And he does a really incredible, delicious, fascinating look at what Midwestern food is today. And so I love everything on that menu. But I feel like one staple that is always going to be there is called the burger box. And it is a smashed patty. It is topped with like a skirt, or it's surrounded by a skirt of smoked cheddar. So the cheddar gets all crispy, and then they're like folded around the burger. So you've got this just like, it's in a box.
So it's like a crispy cheese box over the burger.
Yes.
That is in one little package.
Yes. It's amazing. And then it is on an everything bagel spice bun. There's onions, special sauce, and then he makes Kool-Aid pickles, which is a Southern thing. And so there's Kool-Aid pickles on there too. It's incredible. It's I promise it's worth the drive.
You're convincing me, Amy. I'm really the Kool-Aid pickle really got me. Anyone who knows me knows I love a pickle, and that is fascinating to me. What else do you check out while you're in Cleveland?
There are a lot of really cool spots there. For breakfast, Juneberry Table has a really lovely brunch. It is just this little cafe, but it has a really great local following, really, seasonal plates that are wonderful. Slyman's Deli has an incredible corned beef sandwich. It's something I was there back in May and line down the street with locals just waiting to get that sandwich. So that is worth it. There's a lot of good bars too in town. I really enjoyed Porco Lounge, which is a tropical bar that is just They do a wonderful job with drinks, and it's very escapist. So yeah, it feels like there is a lot happening in Cleveland, and I hadn't been ever before a few years ago, and now that we know like how much good stuff is there, we just keep going back.
How long's the drive to Cleveland?
It's about 5.5 hours.
Okay. So very doable. Amy, I'm curious. So I took a road trip last year to northern Michigan, like Mackinac, and I
Mhm.
drove through Indiana. And I hated the drive through Indiana so much that on the way back, I ended up just going around all the way around the UP down and through Wisconsin back to Chicago. And everyone I've talked to feels this way. How do you feel about the drive through Indiana?
It is not the best stretch. It is really, we go this way all the time because, we're frequently, driving to Michigan and Ohio and points east. I feel like it's very much just a like, all right, we're going to grin and bear it and get through this and then on to something good from there. There are so many wonderful parts of Indiana. I don't think that is showing the state at its best.
Yeah, something about those Indiana highways. I remember too, it was like, I was driving, there was awful traffic. It was raining and cloudy and gross. And literally I crossed the border into Southwest Michigan and the clouds parted and the sun shone. I was like, I see. So it's just here.
Yeah.
Well, lots of great recommendations here for the folks out there who are on a budget, who are trying to make a dollar stretch. What is your favorite budget trip?
So, funnily enough, this is an Indiana recommendation.
Oh, there you go. Oh, we just
yes, yeah. Indianapolis.
Okay.
I think that you can find affordable hotels. You can really find affordable food that is absolutely delicious too. I think that it's really possible to have a trip there that is not going to totally break the budget. And I love Side Door Bagel for breakfast. They do really incredible sourdough bagels. For lunch, I'm a big fan of Natural State Provisions, which does fried catfish and Arkansas cheese dip. One of the owners is from Arkansas, so it's similar to a queso. And they have a sister spot, King Dough, for pizza, which is really wonderful. And so there's a lot of affordable food that is great. And then there's also a lot of stuff to do that, doesn't cost a fortune. White River State Park has trails. There's a canal that you can walk across that's really pretty. There's also a AAA baseball team that plays there. They're called the Indianapolis Indians, and they're an affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And so a AAA baseball team is always a fun thing to go see. And the Indianapolis Museum of Art is beautiful, and the grounds there are stunning too. So that's a good visit. So yeah, I feel like Indy, there's so much to do there. And I think that a lot of the really the best things are going to cost a fortune.
It's really interesting. All these picks that you mentioned are all, they're cities, right? These are all pretty urban areas, or at least, often some of the biggest cities in some of these states, which I think is great. I know, I feel like a lot of times we talk about road trips, you're often talking about like camping or outdoorsy stuff. And it's nice to have some of those, more urban recommendations. But on the flip side, I can imagine a listener out there hearing this and being like, well, Chicago has all these things. Chicago has world-class dining. Chicago's got 2 Major League Baseball teams. We've got art museums at the wazoo. Why take the time, take 4, 5, 6, 7 hours to go do the same thing in some other place?
Nothing excites me more than going to explore somewhere new. I think there's a lot we can learn about a place and its people by going to visit. There's a lot of places that I tell people that I'm going to, and they're surprised that there's things there, and they're surprised that, it's somewhere that I'm recommending. There's never been anywhere where I'm like, oh, no, thank you. I don't need to see there. Everywhere I go is like, I need to go see this. And so I think it's you can really learn a lot by getting out and exploring some of these other cities. That said, there are certainly, more sort of small towns that I'm also a huge fan of as well. Go to Saugatuck, Michigan every summer, and that is always a beautiful destination, peaceful and quiet. I just love sitting and looking at the lake and, relaxing and, going for walks and things like that. New Buffalo, of course, that area has, so much going on. So, and, similarly in Wisconsin too, I love a trip up to Door County. I think that the Midwest really has so many wonderful pockets and so many wonderful places to visit that, you should just go out and see somewhere new.
Amy Kavanaugh is the co-founder and editor of American Weekender and the dining editor at Chicago Magazine. Thank you so much again for taking the time and sharing these tips with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Before we let you go, make sure you're tapped into all CityCast Chicago has to offer by bookmarking our website, chicago.citycast.fm. There you are going to find the latest headlines, a packed events calendar, neighborhood guides, and you can subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Chicago, where we're going to send you all of these things and more directly to your inbox every morning, Monday through Friday, for the free. Of course, I can't let you go without some good news. The homies over at Black People Outside have two amazing events for you this weekend. On Saturday, they're partnering with Arc'teryx and Chicago Adventure Therapy on a community climb at Steelworkers Park. I'll drop a link for tickets in the show notes. And then on Sunday, they're doing a tubing event at Tippecanoe River in Indiana. They've got travel available for folks who need it. Again, head to the show notes for more information. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. I'm going to be back bright and early tomorrow. Hopefully you join me. Peace.